the President of the Law Society, Mr. Wong Meng Meng, Mr. Joseph Grimberg, members of the Bar, Chief Justice, my former colleagues, and friends. Well, thank you, Joe, for your generous citation, and all of you for your kindness. When the President, Mr. Wong Meng Meng, wrote to me a few weeks ago to inform me that the Council of the Law Society had decided to elect me as an honorary fellow of the Law Society, I thanked the Council for conferring the honor on me. When I inquired what privileges came with it, he wasn't sure and said that maybe I didn't have to pay certain dues. When I further asked if I had to pay the dues paid by advocates and solicitors in case I applied for a practicing certificate, he said those were statutory. Nevertheless, I am deeply grateful and most appreciative of the honor that you, my peers, have conferred on me for what you believe I have done in the service of the law. I thank you all. Incidentally, I checked the relevant provisions of the Legal Profession Act to find that I could be made an honorary life member or an honorary member on such terms as the Council thinks fit. The President's letter and Joe's citation did not say which category I fall into. So my interpretation, now non-judicial of course, is that it was intended to fall into the former category. So now can I get confirmation from the President in the presence of all his members that it was meant to be an honorary life member? I think it would be most humiliating if a future council were to withdraw the fellowship from me. Well, a few years ago, your previous president, Mr. Philip Jeyaretnam, I hope he's here tonight, requested that I host a lunch for all the heads of law associations and societies which had come here for a meeting organized by the Law Society. I agreed. At the start of the lunch, Philip introduced us to our guests, or introduced me to our guests, and told them that among other things, I was immune to flattery. And that was one of my virtues. Tonight, I am not immune. And will therefore allow myself to be flattered in full confidence that I would not be able to reciprocate with any favor to any member of the bar. Tonight I stand before you as an unemployed lawyer. A long time ago, in the early 1980s, I had a thriving law practice in financial and corporate work and gave it up for public service. When in practice, I had problems with charging clients for my work. The late Harry Wee advised me that we must charge what the market could bear, which he did. But unfortunately, he got into trouble because in one case, the market could not bear his charges. Fortunately, I never had the courage to find out what level of charges my clients would bear, and here, the scale fees were a boon to lawyers like me. In fact, there was some work I did, which the Chief Justice mentioned in his speech at the book launch on Monday last, that is, the drafting of the Lifeboat Agreement and the associated security documents, where the clients, and I'm telling you this is the first time I've disclosed this, where the clients refused to pay my fees on the ground that they were too high. So I wrote them a polite letter to say that I would be sending them a full bill and that they could have it taxed. After a few days, they paid my fees. So the love of the law and the love of fees are not incompatible in some situations. At that time, I must have acquired, I think, a reputation for being cheap and good. It has been more than 26 years since I stopped practicing law, so I'm not sure whether I would be any good if I were to resume practice. But I'm still cheap. So if any junior member of the bar needs cheap advice, all he or she has to do is buy me lunch. Not dinner, please, because I now sleep early as I no longer burn the midnight oil. I hope the council will not take this as a form of touting. Now that I have my light moments, let me move to something a bit more serious about the law and lawyers. As we know, the rule of law provides the only sure and solid foundation for a society to exist, to grow, and to progress as a stable and civilized society. While in their day-to-day work, lawyers facilitate economic exchanges by advising and drafting contracts, advocates appear in court to seek justice for their clients. They do so under a legal system with an established body of laws. So lawyers, in performing their daily mundane functions, are doing no more than upholding the rule of law and advancing its influence. The direct contribution of legal services in terms of revenue, receipts to Singapore's GDP is small, but in the context of the rule of law, their indirect contributions to Singapore's social, economic, and political stability is not measurable. Now, one of the tenets of the rule of law is equality before the law and equal protection of the law. For this reason, I am a strong supporter of the pro bono work of the Law Society, and why I have advocated that those who cannot do or do not wish to do pro bono work should pay others to do it. Incidentally, this is the practice in Japan. Pro bono work should be made mandatory for the bar, the worker members of the bar under class, and the LASCO scheme have brought credit and distinction to the Law Society above all else. This is also why the Singapore Academy of Law has circulated a discussion paper to our 2 law schools to make pro bono work a compulsory part of the undergraduate education in order to inculcate in them a sense of civic responsibility for the less fortunate in our society. Today, we have a relatively strong bar with a decent number of large and medium-sized law firms. I believe that I have played a small part in providing a playing field that has led to the growth of a sizable number of local law firms that can hold their own against the global law firms. When I started practice in 1962 in Kuala Lumpur and in 1963 in Singapore, all the large firms were controlled by expatriates. At least today we can claim that our large firms are our very own. The globalization and the growth of global legal services have had a profound impact on law practice in Singapore, especially in the economic and financial sectors of our economy. Less affected is law practice in other sectors. The legal profession has to recognize this reality, adjust its goals, and meet the challenges ahead. I can only wish the Law Society all the best for the future and hope for a legal services sector in which Singapore lawyers will continue to have a major role in supplying legal services in Singapore. So finally, I thank the Council of the Law Society once more for electing me to be an honorary life member. And to all of you for your kindness to me and my wife this morning, this evening. So thank you.